Hello everybody, my name is Peter Klapper from the School of Biosciences at the University of Kent in Canterbury, and in this video clip I want to talk a little bit about surveys, contingency tables, marginal totals and also expected numbers. So how does it all work? Now let's assume we have done a survey, a very common survey in this aspect. We asked 100 randomly picked people about their preferred pets. And everybody was only allowed to give one answer. So what is your preferred pet, basically? And 60 of these people were male and 40 were female. And here's a list of the answers that we got. So females who preferred cats, we got 18. Females who preferred dogs, they were 21. And only one female liked snake as her pet. Males, 20 of them preferred cats, 25 of them preferred dogs, and 15 males liked snakes. Quite interesting survey. Now, how can we put this into a better way of presenting? Well, we can actually use a simple table for that. And so what we just simply do is we convert this table. We have two columns here, male and female, and 3 rows. And we can put in our numbers. So females who preferred cats, we have 18, 21 preferred dogs, and one lady liked snakes best. And for the males, we have 20 who preferred cats, we have 25 with dogs, and 15 who preferred cats. So that is our basic table. And you see I've left some columns and rows empty. And what we can do with these columns, we can calculate our marginal totals. And this is nothing special. All we need to do is we just simply add up the numbers in the rows and also the numbers in the columns. And this gives us our marginal totals. So if we do that, for example, here we get a marginal total of 60, which is good because we asked 60 men. If we calculate our marginal total for the female column, it is 1, 21, 22, that is 40, so that's good. And if we calculate the sum here, 60 add 40, that gives 100. So this 100 is basically the total number of people we asked. Now we can also do the marginal totals for the different rows. So the cat lovers are 20 and 18, so that is 38. Dog lovers, they are 25 plus 21, so that is 46. And 15 add 1, so that is 16. And when we calculate again this one here, 38, 46 and 16, this gives us again 100. So we can do a cross check if you like. The numbers here, the marginal column numbers and the marginal totals, the marginal row totals must give the whole 100 that we used here. We could have asked 120, 150, maybe only 75. So it really doesn't depend. But obviously, the more people we ask, the more accurate picture we have about what people prefer. Now, what does this tell us? What do these numbers tell us really? Well, we can say that 20 out of the 60 males, they prefer cats. So 20 out of 60 males prefer cats. So that's around 33.3%. But 20 out of 38 cat lovers are male. And that is about 20 divided by 38. That's about 52.6. So do you see the difference between the statements that we make here? 20 out of 60 males prefer cats. So that's basically when we go down here. And 20 out of 38 cat lovers are male. So we need to be very careful in how we phrase questions. And depending on what I want to say, I can choose either statement. Now here's another example. It's about genetics. And obviously Gregor Mendel, the famous geneticist, who carried out lots of experiments for the usually described as the specific Mendelian genetics. What he did in his little garden in what is now the Czech Republic, he artificially fertilized plants, and I think they were peas in this case, and he grew them from round yellow seeds and crossed them with peas with wrinkled and green seeds, and then he looked at the offspring at the F1 generation, and he checked out what he got, and he got then these numbers. So what I want you to do now is really dissect this table that you have here, or these data, and place them in the table, and also calculate the marginal totals. So I give you a few minutes to carry out this task. So we would have round and yellow, we have 31 seeds. We have round and green, where we have 56 seeds. Wrinkled and yellow has 33 seeds. And wrinkled and green seeds, these are 26 seeds. And now we can calculate our marginal totals. So if we do that here, we get 87 seeds. If we do that here, we have 59 seeds. And we can do the row total margins. That gives us 64, and here we would get 82 seeds. Now we can try to do this calculation here. So here we get 146. And if we do that here, we have 87 and 59. That also gives us 146. So that very clearly shows us that we haven't made any mistakes, and it all tallies up quite nicely. Now let's go back to our previous example about the pet lovers and the gender distribution of these pet lovers. And one of the questions that we can ask in this case is really, is there a difference in pet preference depending on the gender? Is it that, for example, men show a preference for, let's say, cats or dogs or snakes? And is this different to the preference of women? We can also ask the same question in a different way, and we can ask, are pet preference and gender independent? Or is there a gender-specific preference? How are we going to do that? Well, we can calculate sort of expectations or expected numbers. So how are we going to do that? Now, first of all, what we can ask is, what numbers would we expect if the pets were chosen randomly? So we had 100 people, and they would choose completely randomly the pets. So what we would really expect is that we have, if we have 3 people, one would choose cat, one would choose dog, and one would choose snake. And if we have 100 people doing exactly the same, we would say it would be similar distributed, so we would have 33.3% liking cats, 33.3 dogs, and 33.3 snakes. So this would be in our totals here. So we can say we have 33.3. That is our expected number if the pets were chosen randomly. 33.3 dogs, and we would expect 33. Let's say 4 in this case, just rounding. And what we would get is again our total of our marginal total of 100. This would be the numbers if the pets were chosen just completely randomly. We can also ask another question. We can ask, what numbers would we expect if the 40 females choose their pets at random? Now, what we've got here is we've got 40 females. And again, as before, if it is completely random, then we would expect a sort of a 1 to 1 to 1 ratio. So that's for cat, dogs, and snakes here. So what we need to do, if it is completely random, we take these 40 and divide it by 3. And that gives us the number of cat lovers, dog lovers, and snake lovers if there was no preference. So let's say we have, actually, you do it, and I'll give you a few minutes, and you can stop it and try to figure out what the numbers are here. So 40 divided by 3 gives us 13.3, 13.3, and 13.3. Again, I forgot to put the totals in. 33.3, that was from the previous slide. And this one here. Okay, so if the female participants were to choose their pet randomly, we would expect 13.3 choose cats, but in fact 18 have chosen cats. 13.3 would choose dogs, 21 have chosen dogs, and again 13.3 would have chosen snakes, and in fact only 1 has chosen snake as their preferred pet. And again, we can ask the same question about the males. So what numbers would we expect if the 60 males choose their pets at random? And again, I would encourage you to fill in the numbers so that we get a full sheet here. So what we see here is that 1/3 of the males, 20, would have chosen cats. If it was at random, 20 would have chosen dogs and 20 would have chosen snakes. And you see, we we find here that in fact 20 indeed chose cats, 25 chose dogs. Our expected number would be 20 here. And 15 chose snakes, but if they had chosen it just completely randomly, our expected number would be 20 in this case. Now let's go back to our genetic experiment that Gregor Mendel did. And we can say, for example, we expect a 1-to-1-to-1-to-1 distribution. So that actually means that we have our distribution would be 1-to-1-to-1-to-1 here. And now how can we calculate our numbers, our expected numbers? Well, I give you a little bit of time to try and figure that out, how we best get started. And one of the approaches that we could take is that we say, okay, we have got 4 different traits that we are looking at, 4 different combinations, and we assume that they are all equally choosable. So a total number of 146 that we have, how many would we expect for each of these combinations? So we can say 146 divided by 4, and that would give us roughly 36.5 that we expect. So we can say for the round and yellow, our expectation would be 36.5. And likewise, we have 36.5 here. We've got 36.5 here and 36.5 here. Now let's do our row marginal totals. And again, try to do that yourself. And we would get 73 here and 73 here. And likewise, we can do our column marginal totals. So we would get 73 here and 73 here. And again, a quick check, 73 and 73 gives us 146. And for the marginal row total, we get 73 and 73 gives us also 146. So we can very easily calculate our expectations, our expected numbers that we would expect if we had a certain distribution. And of course we can do that also for other distributions. So for example, if it was a 1-to-2-to-2-to-1 distribution, then we would say, okay, good, we have in total 6 different categories, so we would have 146 divided by 6. And the first marginal total would be 146 divided by 6. The second one would be 2 times 146 divided by 6, and so on and so forth. So in this video, I hope you understand that how we can dissect survey data into what is called a contingency table. That is just a posh word for this kind of table here. You now can do the marginal totals just simply by adding up the columns and the rows. And you can now also calculate expected numbers, that is numbers if the categories were just simply picked at random. So I hope this makes sense, and thank you very much for watching.